Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of GFreak Speaks podcast. Episode number goddamn 25. We are getting it away. Quarter century. Nearly raising the bat. But I just wanted to let you guys know that this podcast is sponsored by absolutely fucking nobody. Because we don't have any sponsors on board. So if you guys are sponsoring podcasts out there or want to sponsor a podcast, hit me up. Slide to the DMs at GFreak. And this podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube for the visual. See Tevin's goddamn gorgeous face. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome my man, YourBudTevin. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a long time coming. This needed to happen. The streets needed to see it. So I'm very glad to be here. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better now that we finally got this to happen. It's great. It really is great. It's about midnight your time. So I respect the grind on your end, but you ended up saying that you were doing something prior. Were you streaming before this, man, or what was going on?
My girlfriend's here, so
okay.
I was doing something before this. You're right.
Okay, fair enough, man. Oh,
yeah, she's gonna hate that.
Can we cut that? Can we cut that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let it ride.
But dude, thank you so much for coming on. Where do we start, man? How did you get into gaming, dude? Where did it all begin for you?
From the jump, honestly. The earliest memory I have, I think I was like 3. My dad had a PlayStation 1. And I remember like really vividly him playing like Crash Bandicoot and like Medieval, which is a game like nobody knows about, Contender, just random things. And I remember just being super enamored by it. And I've just kind of always had my head in it. My mom worked night shift, so during the day she would sleep. So it was just kind of up to us to like entertain ourselves until she woke up to make us dinner. So they got me a Nintendo 64 when I was like 4 or 5, and I played the fuck out of it. Like every game you can imagine, from like sports games to like Super Mario 64, Conker's Bad Fur Day, stuff I shouldn't have been playing, and it just kind of continued all the way through. I been addicted pretty much my whole life. Like by the time the PlayStation 2 era hit, I was playing video games like 8 hours a day already, like as a 10-year-old. So yeah, the grind's always been real, you know.
Hey, what was the fondest memory? We all have one when you're a kid. Like there's carefree, there's nothing else that you have to worry about in your life. Like what is it? Like cranking that PlayStation on, or the Nintendo on a rainy day? What is it, man?
In the summertime, when I was like 8 through like 11. Nah, probably earlier than that. I would say 7 through like 10. In the summertime, I would always wake up. I would go outside and play, whether it was like football or I'd go to like the local park to play basketball. And then I would come home at like noon or 1, and my mom always either had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with Doritos or these like sliders, like these hamburger sliders. And she would always have it ready as soon as I got back, and I would just grab the plate and I would go to my room and I would play like whatever the newest Madden was, and I would play like all until like 2 a.m. every single night, the whole summer. And man, it's making me tear up. Those days were like, you don't know how good they were until like, you never know what you have until it's gone. You know what I mean? Like I loved every single moment that I played. Like, and she always got me the latest one, so it was always the newest Madden. It was just,
it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and I love the emotion that you're showing right now. Is your mum a big part of your life? Obviously.
It's an interesting topic because like she couldn't be around a whole lot because she was like single mom.
Yep.
And she was never really interested in video games. But she always like got me every resource that I needed. And so whenever she saw that I was like really interested in something, she would like go out of her way to like give me any kind of new game or like any new console. And even when I had first started deciding that I wanted to do YouTube and stuff like that, she was the one that got me like the DVR, if you remember the Hot Hog DVR on the Xbox 360 with the fucking red, yellow, white cables.
Yellow,
I don't
white.
know.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and I used to record and she bought me a new TV, and I was recording like Call of Duty gameplays on it because before I was using my iPod Touch and stuff like that. But the more like now she's like super supportive of it, and she's trying to get more integrated and learn about it. But I always appreciated that, even though she didn't have the time to like watch me or do anything like that, she always got me like the things that I wanted the most. So yeah, she is a big part of my life.
That's awesome, man. I can definitely relate to that. You know, a bit of that. We both got that mama's boy about us type of thing. You know, you can always just fall to your mum. Myself, you know, dad as well. But yeah, look, man, it's unreal what your parents do for you and growing up, and you know, touching base back on the nostalgic vibe of things. You know, it's so funny. Like when you talk to an American, it's summer for the holidays. For us, it's winter.
Really?
It's so different. Actually, no. For holidays, no, you guys have Christmas in winter. We have Christmas in summer, so yeah. But you guys have different holiday breaks to us. Like your end of year is like the middle of the year. It's so weird, dude. It's
that's wild.
It's so crazy, man. But dude, what are you doing with yourself now, man? Like, who are you today, dude?
That's a philosophical ass question. Who am I today? I wish I knew. I guess to the public, I'm YourBudTevin, who is depending on where you met me, you might have like one opinion on me. I might be the fighting game guy, I might be the Apex guy, could be the Persona guy, could be the anime drinking game guy. I think in general, I'm just a guy that had a dream to do YouTube content. First and foremost, I'm just a nice guy, hopefully. But from the content side of things, we're looking to expand and hopefully show people that it's not just I'm this guy or this guy or this guy, but I'm all these guys. I enjoyed every single part of the journey, and we got some wild shit planned, like some extreme stuff going on. I announced the Mario Kart tournament, the Mario Kart 96 content creators. Yeah. So that's like one of the big, which is crazy because like for some people that's like the biggest thing, but for like that's honestly one of like I want to say 10 or 12 things that we have planned just in like upcoming summer alone. So yeah, went on a tangent, but I'm a lot of things to a lot of people, mainly just a YouTube guy though.
Just diversifying, man. Just spreading the love and the branches of wisdom everywhere across the board.
Wisdom, sure. Yeah. That's it, man. That's one word for it.
Hey,
I appreciate
the passion,
the flattery.
The love, you know what I'm saying? I'm gassing you up here, man. I'm gassing you up.
Yeah, I love it.
For this episode.
Wisdom, though, that's a stretch. That's more captain flattery.
Working some wizard sorcery shit right here, man. Doing fucking everything, dude. What's going on? Leave some for others, man, you asshole.
Nah, man. I gotta be the best at everything.
That's it, man. The Jordan of everything, bro. The Jordan. But yeah, I saw this Mario Kart thing coming up. I actually did see that. I have to ask you about that. So tell me about it. Like people listening right now, they may be wondering, what are they talking about? Just give us a quick synopsis about what it is, and even some of these other things that you do as well.
So the event, it's coming up June 11th. It's a Mario Kart tournament. It's going to be 96 content creators. So from a variety of popularities, we have some people as big as like you would literally know them. I think C-Reax is in there. I've talked to Ludwig, which we'll obviously get into here in a minute. A lot of the Smash people like TK, EE, Vicky, a lot of the players. Little Z, I think, is coming through. And some of the Apex people too. Dre Nilla's in it. I think a couple more of the SOAR guys are in it. A lot of people from a lot of areas.
Surely Touche has to be there. Otherwise,
no, he does not do it. He doesn't do it. He wouldn't even play Mario Golf with me, and that's like right up his alley. So he's just, I don't know. The guy's a fucking weirdo. I don't know, that guy sucks. Anyway,
fucking dope. Touche,
but 96 content creators, 4v4 teams, so it's 24 teams of 4.
Yep.
One of the players will be playing Mario Kart, while the other ones drive regularly. If you don't know what Mario Kart is, an old drinking game where you can't drink and drive, which you should never do. But you have to finish the race, so you have to physically stop the race to drink, and you have to finish a full beer or seltzer every single time. So there's going to be a lot of strategy into it because one person is getting lapped and, they might want to hold on to an item. They might want to throw it at somebody who's in first that's lapping them. It could be a situation where you want your best drinker to just, pound one and take off, finish all 3 laps as fast as possible. You could want somebody to hang around and try to snipe somebody so that, your first 3 people can get first, second, third. And that way last doesn't matter. It's going to be a lot of like intricate things. And the first place team, winner take all, it's $5,000.
I love that. And $5,000, that's like our major tournament over here in Australia. And it's run by a third party person, I love that. Like over here in Oz, dude, we struggle with stuff, dude.
The American Mario Kart 8 players were pissed because they were like, we have no exposure. We don't even get money like that. So because there's no pro player. Obviously, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want pro players just, pulling up on Waluigi, like Tokyo drifting people, clipping into walls and resetting like third lap in 10 seconds.
Yep.
So it was interesting that shit that I just want to do for fun and kind of, get exposure to like lower level content creators and just have a good time. Can't please everybody.
All the politics of shit, man. You're just like, I want to do this cool event for everyone. Everyone can come together, have a vibe, smash and piss, and then you have all this. Dude, it's so crazy when you start dipping into shit. It just makes you want to go back to when you're 12 and just like playing Mario Kart and not giving a shit on a rainy day. You know what I mean? It's just shut up.
Can't get away from it.
It's insane.
I've learned to live with it.
So, a bit of a flashback to Ludwig. So, I saw that he gave you a bit of gas about some things. So, let's touch on, how did you meet Ludwig? What did he see in you to reach out?
I'm gonna be honest, because everybody was like, "Whoa, big deal." I just annoyed him. Wasn't nothing special. Growing up, my grandma said closed mouths don't get fed. So you got to keep asking somebody, if you want somebody to do something, or if you want something, you got to just ask for it. And so I just was in his DMs. I've been in his DMs for like 2 years on various ideas, but the anime drinking game, when I started it, I was like, this is a surefire success. I even when I first started it. So I was like, I was in his DMs like, Ludwig, like, this is going to work. Like, it's going to blow up. Like, you got to believe me. You got to join it. And I was on that for like years. And it wasn't until I did the one with EE and TK, which obviously is like, he's a lot closer to because they're the Smash community. He finally responded randomly. It was like midnight. And it's so funny because by the time you drop this, they'll know about this too. There's another streamer named YourRage who is like the black equivalent of Ludwig. Like, he's the largest streamer on the black side. And they DM'd me both in the same minute. I had not gotten responses from either one of them for years, for like 2 years straight. And they both responded to me at the exact same time. Like, I have a screenshot of it where it was like, bloop, bloop. And I was like, what? Fuck? And so the Rage one I already did. That one will be coming out sometime this week as of like when we're recording this, which I had a blast with. But with Ludwig, it's taken a considerable amount of more work. We did have a conversation where we kind of worked everything in. And then he's gotten like super busy. Like, obviously he has the final mogul money that he just announced. He has Fortnite Mondays, which like kind of came about out of nowhere.
Yep.
So it went from a thing where I tried to kind of schedule it, and the streamer awards, which his girlfriend Cutie was running.
Yep.
It was like a point where I tried to make it happen like that month.
Yep.
Which was March. Didn't end up happening. It probably won't end up happening for like the foreseeable future. We're probably looking at like deep fall, if that. Like, getting a hold of him is, even after like getting a hold of him and getting that clip and everybody being like, whoa, it's crazy. That's just like one piece of the puzzle. The clout or the hype of a moment is not what I'm looking for. It's the actual collaboration between it.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it's sooner rather than later, but I'm expecting it to be a long time out.
Oh yeah, man. I think it'll definitely happen.
It was cool though.
That is what, dude. Do you believe in voodoo type of? Do you believe in ghosts and spirits and aliens and all that type of shit? Like for that to happen, that is not. Have you ever seen in World War II those two bullets that like hit each other?
Yeah, they collided. Yeah.
Hey, would you say that would be the equivalent?
I
reckon.
Yes and no. So like,
Yeah.
a quick background, like before I got into YouTube and like blow up, whatever you want to call it, I've had the worst luck. Like if I explained the backstory to like before I started doing YouTube like full time, it would have seemed like I was just a failure. Everything was like set up for me, and I pissed it.
Oh no.
So for some people, if you knew me before, it would have been like, finally, like he actually has some like validation. But for people that didn't know me and only saw like the come up, they would be like, whoa, like look at this crazy thing that just happened. For me, it was I don't get starstruck super easily. I think my mentality is kind of weird in the sense that like, because I want to be the best so badly, I don't ever think of anybody as above me or below me. You know, I'm supposed to be there. Like when with Ludwig, I'm supposed to be working with Ludwig. You know, I don't want people to ever look at it like, oh, congratulations to Tevin for being able to work with Ludwig. I want it for people to be like, oh, Tevin's working with Ludwig again, or Tevin's working with Corey Kenshin again, or Tevin's working with when I started becoming friends with Touche, it's like Tevin's with Touche again. You know, I don't ascribe to the idea that like I've made it or whatever, because for one, you know, I don't want to get like an inflated ego or like sense of self, you know. I'm the same guy at the end of the day. I don't like when people like come and talk to me as if I'm, you know, on a pedestal or whatever. But I also don't like when people talk down to me and and assume that like I'm not worth their time because I, you know, reputability is definitely like something, you know. When somebody wants to work with you, it's nice to go and look at their catalog and be like, oh yeah, they have good ideas and like they're good for it. You know, I want to work with them. But it's a different thing to see that potential, but then you don't have the numbers to back it up, and then you're like, oh, they don't get it, and you know, it's off by the wayside. So long-winded way to answer your question. When it happened, I was like, hell yeah. But, you know, quietly to myself, I was proud for a second. I was like, finally, you know, we're kicking down the door. But then in the very next second, I was like, okay, it's time to do more work. It's time to, you know, go from, you know, make that happen. And then, you know, Mr. Beast is next, and then PewDiePie, and then, you know, whatever.
Yep. It's like those moments where you're like, and then you like look around, you're like, fuck, no one saw that, bro. No one saw that. They came in the darkness of my bedroom, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. No, I love it, dude. That's insane. And I think that's a really good mentality to have. Like, I can't say that I've worked with people that big. The biggest person I've probably worked with is a sports person, Nick Kyrgios. But, you know, you just got to kind of like treat them like they're your bro. You know, how you doing, man? Yeah, what's going on? You know, everyone's man or bro or whatever. It's just real casual. That's just how I am as well. I think the last thing people that they want is to be treated differently. Like at the end of the day, when you break everyone down, we're all human, man. You know, and these people just want to be treated like everyone else is. Like, you know, God bless Ronaldo being so good how he is, but that guy just wants to walk through the shopping center and not give a shit and wear tracky dacks and not care what he looks like. You know what I mean?
No,
he can't do that anymore.
There's weird Twitter clips of like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Michael Jackson at like the height of his fame, he couldn't go anywhere. Like he got held up at an airport for so long because so many people wanted to see him that they put him on the roof so he could wave to everybody so that they would go away.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't leave. They were there for like 6 hours. I don't ever want that kind of stuff to happen. Like it's cool. Like in your mind, it's cool to have the attention. You know, like everybody loves that.
Yeah.
The idea of that, like validation and attention and success, like it's great to have, but it easily goes into like getting into your privacy and feeling and being personal, and then you feeling not human. Like people are looking at you like you're not a real person, regardless of if they're looking down on you or up at you. You don't feel like you are, you know, equal in any kind of space. So yeah, no, I was never ever that way either. Like everybody I've ever met, I've always just been like, what's up?
Yeah, so man,
it's way cooler to just know them in person.
I feel like, and you don't do it cocky either. It's just like, you gotta just feel like what you're saying before, and I think that George Russell also said in Formula One Drive to Survive, where he just felt like he belonged at the front of the grid. You know, you just feel like you belong there, and you know, when your time comes, you just got to grab the bull by the horns and just take it for a ride. You know, you can't let it slip. But that brings me on to the next thing. With like you've been at this for a while now, as from what I'm understanding here. What was the thing that really motivated you and started getting you traction within the YouTube space?
So I started making YouTube videos. Well, actually, let me back up. I started watching YouTube since its inception, since like 2005, 2006. Like,
Yeah.
your earliest OG videos, I was there for like all of them, from the viral stuff like your chocolate rains and the sneezing panda, literally everything, to like even the niche stuff in the first like creators like Swoozy, Michelle Phan, Tyler Oakley, like even things beyond gaming. Like I just loved YouTube. I loved the platform that it was. Smosh, Ray William Johnson, whatever. And so I'd always been invested. I didn't even know you could make an account and like make videos until like 2010, I think. And I was like, what the fuck? You can make your own stuff. I thought those guys were like professionals. So then I started August 25th, 2010 was when I signed up for an account. Yeah. My channel's older than PewDiePie's. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
How old am I? 26. I started.
You're older than me. Okay.
15. I was
so you're
15.
I was
14 at the time.
1995, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so started then. My first video was right after my birthday, November 11th, 2011. Or November 11th, 2011.
We got close birthdays, man. We got close birthdays. I'm the 30th.
Hey, let's go Scorpios for real.
Go, baby. No. I'm not Scorpio. I'm Sagittarius.
You're not Scorpio?
No.
Oh, you're in the
I'm
December.
In the later half, like I'm that half horse, half man type of shit, galloping
Respectful. We're early November.
We are.
Where was I at? So I've just I started off with like Call of Duty stuff because everybody does, back when I was just watching Scump kill it and like X Jaws and Market J and like literally anybody you can name. That didn't work out. Nothing really worked out. I tried everything in the book, but I wasn't really taking it seriously. It was just more one of those things where it's like you just emulate the people that are successful, and you don't really understand why it works. You're not really studying or understanding how YouTube works as a whole. And so did content creation for a long time. I'm going to skip a large portion of it and get to
the juicy stuff.
Apex, right? Apex, I started streaming and I started putting all my chips into streaming. It was near the top of the leaderboard as like as Octane for a really long time. Tried to go into like semi-pro status because we were on PlayStation at the time and we didn't have the opportunities that people on PlayStation have now. Gave it up to form the league, which I'm sure we'll get into that. And then the league got shut down because of some other stuff we'll talk about with that. And then I found myself like broke, like at the end of my rope. I had gotten kicked out of my house. I was in really bad debt. And I was living with a friend. Thankfully, my friend and his mom are a godsend. And they gave me 2 years to figure it out. Like rent free. I had my own room. Like I was basically, I had a life, but they gave me 2 years. And so,
wow.
It was the end of the first year and I hadn't gotten shit accomplished. Basically the league got swept under the rug from me. I had no money. I had no nothing. I just quit my job because I thought the league was going to take off. And I was nowhere. And I remember sitting in my room and I was like, I'll give YouTube one last shot. This is February 4th, 2019, I think. No, February 4th, 2020. February 4th, 2020. And I was sitting there and I was like, I'm going to give YouTube one last shot. And I spent about 2 straight weeks. I'd wake up every day and I would spend about 16 or 17 hours studying every single thing that I could about YouTube, how it worked, how trends work, what was popular, what I thought was going to be popular, thumbnail design, analytics, thumbnail impressions, the whole nine. And I had come across this guy named Mitten Squad. I was watching him a lot, and he was doing challenge runs for Fallout and Skyrim, where he would restrict the game to like one idea, like he would beat the game with like a fork. And I was like, that's really entertaining. And the way that he narrated it and set it up, and he did it every week, and it was like so similar. The game works pretty linearly. It was just the idea of like him being able to beat something with such a restrictive like choice and make it funny and make it entertaining to watch. And then Pokemon started doing it really heavily. And I don't know if you've noticed it, like if you're in Pokemon at all, but like anybody who knows like there are probably 1,000 now different creators who do this. But before all that, it was Mitten Squad and a few others. And so I looked at the games that I had because I was broke. I didn't have any money to buy anything. And I was like, what can I do that's similar to that? And then I saw that I had a game called Persona 5, which I loved the game. I'd played the game so many times. It was the only game I played that wasn't like Apex or like Fortnite or like a multiplayer game. If I played a single player game, it was Persona 5 every single time. I'd beaten the game like probably like 75 times up to that point. And for those of you who don't know, that game's a 120-hour game. So you can see how like many times I've just gone through it over and over and over again. Yeah, I've gotten it to the point where I could beat it. I got it to where I could beat it in about like 30 hours.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what if I did a challenge run on Persona 5? And then I looked into it. Nobody had done it yet. And then further still, there was a brand new Persona game around the corner. It was coming out March 31st. And it was like February 10th or something like that. And I was like, oh, I have to do it. I'm going to rush through it. I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to do this challenge run. I'm going to look into it and I'm going to post it. And then, we'll see what happens. This is going to be like my first serious attempt. Stayed up for damn near 2 straight weeks. I think I slept like 3 hours a night. I would get up. I'd go to the gas station with like the few dollars that I had left on my credit card, maxed it out, getting like snack food, and then and like Mountain Dew and like full throttle and shit like that. And I would sit in my room all day and I'd play it. I beat it in like 3 or 4 days, and then the rest of 2 weeks I edited it. I had some editing experience, but like nothing this heavy. My computer was crashing left and right. I had to split it in 2, and the second part still like corrupted fully, and the video is really terrible, but it still did really well. Finished it, and I put up the part 1 on my friend's birthday, February 15th, 2020. And I remember we went out that day. I put it on Reddit. I had 63 subscribers, and no video had ever gotten more than 1,000 views. I went out to lunch with my friend for his birthday, came back, and I looked at it, and I had 1,500 views on it. And I was like, uh-oh.
Here we go.
Wait a minute. It had only been like an hour or two, and I had 1,500 views, and I was like, okay. So then I remember I didn't check it the rest of the night. I was just, playing games, hanging out. The next day it had like 3,000. I was like, okay, one day 3,000. I had 63 subs. Something's going on here. And over the course of like a week, he got up to like 30,000 views, which at the time I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. I was like, I got to drop the part 2 right now. So
let's go.
I edited, spent another 2 weeks on it. It absolutely did not work. It corrupted every single chance I got. I had to replace footage that wasn't even mine. I had to find somebody else's footage and just like narrate over what I thought. And I was like, no one's gonna fuck with this. Like it really sucks, but I have to let it go anyway. So I posted it because you can't redo 70 hours of work.
No.
And so not with that momentum. So I posted it. First day, I think I had like 25,000. Even with the shit quality and the corrupted files and everything, it still had 25,000 day one. Jeez. And I was like, oh wow. So then I was like, I need to make another one super fast. So then I made a third Persona challenge run, and I did it in full, and I really went all out. I was like, this might be my breakout. And the whole time, like, we're climbing, I had 1,000 subs, 2,000 subs, 3,000 subs.
Yeah.
And that third video I posted, as soon as I posted it, it hit 50,000 day one with a channel for like 4,000 subs on it. Immediately blew up, and I was like, this is it. I finally got in. Like, I got monetized. I made money that month. I put up another video after that, and that one I think broke a record for me. It still might be my record. I think it had like 140,000 the first day.
How much?
Which I still haven't beaten.
What's the most amount of money you've made from one YouTube video?
All right, answer that.
You can put some mayonnaise on it if you want, bro.
I'll say it's 5 figures. I don't know if I can give an actual amount.
No,
but
that's okay. That's okay.
My highest viewed video has 5 figures on it.
Let's go. That's all we need for the clip, Tev. Okay, that's all we need. That's all we need. Okay.
No, thank you, man. For sure. Yeah, it's definitely.
There we go.
Some money.
Snapped viral. There we go. Cash on YouTube.
Yeah. Every single thing. After that, I knew as soon as I had like the momentum. A lot of people don't understand how important momentum is on YouTube. Speed is just as important as quality, and so once I saw that I had a little bit of traction, and the algorithm found me, and I started getting impressions, as fast as possible, I was trading out the best thing I could and posting it, and it took off for me. And then 2 years later, we're looking at 200,000, which is nice.
That's incredible, man. And you're doing this full time, aren't you? Correct?
Yeah, I never didn't do it full time. Okay. Even when I was broke, I didn't have a job. I never had a fallback plan, which I don't recommend. But I am the kind of guy to where if I can't do what I want with my life, fuck it. I literally can't focus. Like, I half-ass everything that's not something I'm obsessed with.
Yep.
To the point where I'll just quit.
Yep.
So YouTube has always been a full-time thing for me.
So what would be some advice to up-and-coming YouTubers that aspire to be someone your size, or just to make a full-time job for themselves out of YouTube?
Don't do what I did. And make sure you have a safety net. Only really crazy people would even attempt some as stupid as what I did. I would say there's two tips. One, the very first thing is take it seriously. When you're doing something and kind of not putting your all into it because of fear of rejection or failure, or why am I doing this? It's not going to get viewed anyway, or whatever. If you want to be a YouTuber, act like a YouTuber already. Act like it's your job. Put in the time, put in the work, put in the hours for it. Don't see a mistake in your audio and be like, oh, whatever, no one's going to watch it. Somebody might watch it. Like, fix it. You're only as far as like you take yourself to be. If you play the part, chances are you're going to get there anyway. And the second thing is there's four things you should always consider when making a YouTube video. In order of importances. Is it relevant, and is the timing correct? Is it quality? Do people want to watch it, and do you like making it? Right? In that order, you need to make sure you have all those 4 boxes checked off. Because if any one of those is off, there's a different problem that comes up. If you don't like what you do, you're inevitably going to burn out. If they don't want to watch it, you might go up somewhat, but you might become like hated, or you just won't get watched at all. Is it quality? People will inevitably stop watching it, regardless of how big the news is, and the timing of it. If you try to do something after everybody else already hit the jump for it, you're never gonna go anywhere with it. So
yeah, it is very hard. It is very difficult. It's an oversaturated thing. I do think that TikTok did help a lot of people come up. Obviously not yourself though, which is very different in the modern age, because you use YouTube. And now you probably use YouTube Shorts, I'm assuming, as well?
No, not at all. Well, I got into TikTok, but just as a way to kind of get a little bit more of an audience, more of a younger audience. Yeah. We don't do Shorts just because Shorts kind of affects the algorithm if you don't have a clips channel.
Oh, is that why
a lot of people don't even know about? Yeah,
I didn't know that. I've just been posting both podcasts and gaming clips in the one channel, because I got some advice from a YouTuber. He has 400,000 subs. He said, put them all in the one channel. So then it's the home of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good for like early exposure. Like if you don't have any exposure, whichever one gets you the looks will work. But in the long term, or like where I'm at, if I were to do all three, the algorithm wouldn't know which watch time is proper. So
Yep.
if I have a really long stream and there people are watching for 2 hours, it might start impressing things that have a longer watch. Like they're gonna start um, shooting out impressions on the longer stuff, but it's gonna absolutely kill the shorts. But
Yep.
since the shorts always do well because they get flooded, people watch them over and over again, they'd kill the streams. Like there'd be no reason to put a stream in the clip. That's why you see people like Ludwig. They have like a clips channel. The streams get like a VODs channel, and then they have their main channel where it's like mid-length content, 14 to 30 minutes or whatever.
Yep. Okay. Well, there we go. You just told me something new. Shit, what should I do, man? I've got 100, under 500 subs. I need to start doing that shit, bro. Pumping out content left, right, and center, but we just can't get any traction. It's fucking tough, man. It's
hard.
It's the hardest shit ever. Like I do
hardest job ever.
I think that it has to be the hardest job ever because of the like I don't do it full time. I do it part time, but you've got to make sure that you stay relevant. You've got to get relevant. You've got to make sure that you don't say anything or do anything that can be used and held against you in the court of law. You've also got to perform as well, day in, day out, and then you've also got to think about ideas as well as understand how you're going to moving forward with sponsors and products and brand deals and how to keep a meal on the table and then how to pay for electricity bills and it's some hard shit. People just see like, oh, I just play video games and then that's it. Like some people do that in Australia. Some people just average they're happy with their 60 viewers that they get and don't even post YouTube videos. Kind of weird. But to be a big boy, you've got to be pumping it out, man. You got to be pumping it right out. And like yourself, dude, you're pumping out videos all the time. And are you streaming all the time as well?
So I would, but I'm bipolar, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
So randomly there'll be times where like for 2 or 3 straight weeks I'm like I can't do anything. So it's like it's hard. I want to get up and like stream. I can, when I'm manic or I have like a lot of energy, I can get up and crank out 12-hour streams like it's nothing. But then, one bad thing, and I can't do it for 3 straight weeks. And that inconsistency, I don't want to go into streaming and be like an inconsistent streamer. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to find a schedule that works for me, but I don't know how other people do it because there are bipolar streamers. I have no understanding of how they make it work because it's the hardest job. Being live I think streaming is harder than being a YouTuber because I can make high quality content without anybody ever knowing I did anything. Like they would never see my face and all of a sudden this anime drinking game's up. Streaming, you have to be right in front of them and they have access to you. Like you can't not read chat. I mean, you can't not read chat if you're like Touche, but if you're like, if you're up and coming, like chat is an interactive part of how streaming works. And you look over one time and it's like the one fucking person in there that's like, bro, you suck, bro. Like you're the worst person of all time.
Yeah.
Bro, trip on a rock and fall down some stairs. I hate you. You smell bad. You look like Forrest Whitaker. Like it's every bad thing in the book. And like that one thing is like, everybody else can be like, I love you. Tevin, you're the greatest thing to touch earth. But you just saw that one and you're just like, fuck the whole day. I'm over it. And you have to do that every day.
Yeah.
That's the hardest job for me.
Do you focus on the negative comments? Do you see them or block them or what do you do? Like, I personally, I'm sticks and stones. Like, I really don't give a shit what people say to me. But how do you, with this being your job, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with the negative comments and the hate, I guess?
I usually don't mind. For the most part, if it's a troll, if you've been on the internet for a while, you know what a troll looks like. So troll comments are whatever. I definitely don't care about those. If it's a valid criticism, I don't take that personally either. There's some things you can't control, and some, if somebody's offering you something that you can work on, then it's all good. So that's like 99% of it, which I don't mind. The 1% is like the one thing I didn't want anybody to speak on, or something that I've already mentioned previously, and they still commented on it. Those are the ones that get me. When I had retired from making Persona content, I switched into full time. I was focusing on the drinking game and then starting to expand. I made it clear in like every possible way, every platform, every stream to be like, hey, like I'm done. I respect, what it did for me, and I respect the community, and I'm trying to end on good terms. Like, it's fine. And I'll still to this day, they'll be like, remember when this used to be a Persona channel? Remember when this, and it's like, those are the ones that irk me so badly, because it's like, I know your intentions are good because you just like this thing and you like that I did it.
Yeah.
But it was never, you can tell that they don't respect anything. It's just like want. And I have to like give myself a breather, because, where I come from, we would just go at them, right? Like it's just like, okay, bitch, like, like I'm about to start.
Hey, they treat you like a piece of meat, sometimes, bro. You're a piece of meat.
I grew up in, high school cafeterias where if you started, if somebody had something to say to you, oh yeah, well, your mama looked like this, like you, like, whatever. Yeah. Nowadays, most people aren't worth the time.
Yep.
And if I do comment, chances are, like, almost always they're like, oh, I didn't think you'd see this. No, bitch, we see every comment. Like, when they say we see every comment, like, literally, my YouTube notification pops up. I see your comment when you comment. Like, I can actually visibly see it. I'm on my phone. Like, there's no way to avoid it.
Yep.
So, yeah. No, I get over 99%. I'm fine with. The other like 1%, I have to be.
You have to bite your tongue a bit. You have to be like,
yeah, just don't catch me on a bad day, because you're catching it. I don't
catching
care.
the hands, bro.
You'll still catch a few.
And the left foot to the fucking jaw, bro. Love that shit.
Honestly.
Hey, so that leads me to the next topic about, the hating and all that type of stuff is this soda popping topic that popped up that I saw on the feed not too long ago. But so for context, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Tev, but Soda was doing some sort of sketch on a game and he had to like draw Mr. Potato Head. But he commented saying, oh, blackface. And then he drew, I don't know, like my screen's a different color because I've got it the contrast cranked up, but it looked really orange for me. But on his end, I believe it was like a darker shade. So he said, oh, blackface. So with that clip, if he didn't say, oh, this is blackface or something, would it have been better or worse? Or please, like, unravel that for myself as well as others listening.
Okay, so, yeah, in the clip, he was playing a game, and he had to create a character, and he immediately, like, it wasn't even a darker shade. It was, like, damn near black. Like, it was just, like, straight black, the color. And he said it so early, he was like, oh, blackface. And then he started scribbling it in.
Yeah.
And then he put the, the red lips and the actual blackface. My general thoughts on that before I get into like the semantics is that you don't go you won't get very far if you're being openly racist. So I don't think that that's what it was, right? Like if you're an openly racist person, most people are going to shun you pretty quickly.
Yep.
So I don't think that's what he meant to do ever. But you got to be pretty fucking dumb to say that out loud, to know what you're about to make, how people are going to perceive it, and be like, let me continue. Like you got to not be in your right mind to even attempt it. Which obviously Soda's been banned like 40 times. Like I'm sure he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But that goes beyond like a ban, right? Because, Soda's not from a black culture at all, right?
Yep.
He doesn't know where that clip can go, and then eventually if people in black culture are going to see it, they don't know Soda because he's not relevant over there. So their automatic assumption is like, oh, he's fucking racist. Going into the semantics of it, had he not said blackface, more benefit of the doubt would have been given. But even still, it just looks so bad. Like,
yeah.
Mr. Potato Head doesn't have like the lips all the way up to here. Like it stops pretty much like right here. So the fact that he like started here and then did the full thing, it's hard to give him that kind of credit. Again, I'm 100% positive there's not a racist bone in that man's body. It's just more you thought a joke was gonna hit and it just was like really misplaced, like way misplaced, like actually not funny, very, very bad misplaced. So deserves the ban. You know, you do something stupid, you get banned for it. It is what it is. Should he have to do like sensitivity training or anything like that? No. But should he speak to, or should he at least like look into, you know, black streamers, black culture, black YouTube, and figure out why you probably shouldn't do something stupid like that in the first place? Yeah, it would help him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that it comes up quite a bit, and I saw like some clips the other day from Joe Rogan's podcast where it's Robert Downey Jr. playing the darker gentleman in Tropic Thunder. You would have seen that movie. Great movie and stuff. And look, for me, personally, in Australia, it's not as how it is in America. It is very different. Like the culture difference is super different. And for like, I know that some boy was, you know, his mum dressed him up, and his favorite footy player is I don't know what Nick Nadanui's nationality. I think Nick Nadanui's is from Fiji. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a darker guy, right? Incredible athlete. He's like 7 foot, can jump everywhere, has like these amazing, like super thick dreadlocks, like a different type of dreadlock. And this guy was this young kid's inspiration as he's growing up as a footy player and stuff. And so he plays in a footy league called the Australian Football League, Aussie Rules, that you may have heard of. But he's a white kid. Like the kid's about 7. So his mum, you know, just like painted his skin a bit darker and stuff, just so he could fully play the part. There was a lot of backlash, and I think there was a little bit of, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think there was a little bit of unnecessary backlash. The kid was 7. Like the kid just he doesn't understand anything. And the mum probably she was probably getting pressure from the kid saying, no, I want it to be like this. I want to be like Nick now. I just want to be him and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's so like, there's so many like different angles of where like what's right, what's wrong and stuff. And then you've got Robert Downey Jr. and stuff. And it's just like, there is a slight bit of confusion, but if you do something stupid, like out of like, you know, soda pop, and you just say, oh, blackface, it's just kind of like, you're kind of cementing yourself in that category and whatnot. But I think that a 7-year-old kid like putting a bit of fake tan on him or some shit, you know, just loving and wanting to be his hero, I think that's a little bit different. Like even Nick Nat, like he like reached out and said, hey, this is wrong. I'm just like, holy shit, man. Like, what are your thoughts about something like that from what I've explained?
Yeah, so on both ends, I get it. It's the most unique circumstance in the world, which is why I think people get it wrong so often, because there's not a more easily distinct divisive thing, right? It's so easy to look and see the difference between somebody who is white and somebody who is black. Like it's very obvious. You can't be the one or the other, right? It's like you can look at one and be like, oh yeah. And so the unique interactions between them, you can't compare it to anything else. And so every single individual instance of conflict has to be treated as an individual instance of conflict. And that's hard to do for people because they rely on their prior experiences and traumas to make their decisions. What I can say is that I fully agree that like a kid who said like 7 is ignorance, right? There's no way you understand anything about the world. At the same time, you know, you can understand like the easy things of like bad, like hurt, you know, like things like that. And so blackface and things of the like are very touchy to the point that you should never put a child in the way of it, you know. It's like when a child crosses the road, you take extra care to make sure they're on a crosswalk and they cross the street. When you have a younger child in the car, you make sure they have a car seat. When they're in a restaurant, they have a stool. Like there's extra precautions that are made sure to make sure that they're safe. The parents should have very, very quickly understood the psychological or the social precaution that was necessary there, because there's almost never a time where black people dress up as their favorite white athlete or whatever, and then paint themselves white. It's just not a common occurrence. A lot of it, the ones that I've seen are in jest or like they'll openly mock it, and in a lot of those cases they are wrong too. Like the times that gets done. But I think the parent just missed. There's another situation where
just missing it.
Yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. You obviously did something out of love, but like things done out of love can still hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And he, it's just an unfortunate situation where it's like you had to hindsight's 2020. You had to realize that people were going to look at that a really negative way. I've seen friends of mine dress up like their favorite rappers and athletes with like the jerseys and stuff, but they just don't paint themselves black, and people still know who they're trying to be.
Yep.
And I've seen some of my relatives and other like people that I know in my life that they dress up and they're doing like nerdy type stuff or whatever white culture they're trying to be influential towards, and they don't do whiteface, and it's the same thing. But there are individual instances where it doesn't matter. In the case of Robert Downey Jr. doing Tropic Thunder, that was like obvious satire towards white actors who try to do black roles, and they come across as racist. So the satire of him doing it was so over the top that it was actually well done, and you could almost applaud the effort. So there is a time and a place, but it's so unique and so specific that most people just shouldn't do it.
Yeah. It's such a thin line. Such a thin line. It's just like veer to the left, veer to the right, you're done. Like you're in big trouble. You're gonna catch the hands. But it's crazy, man. The whole blackface thing and stuff, and like I said, it's very different in Australia. Like it's very like we're behind you guys when it comes to all those things. There's definitely a lesser presence of African Americans that are in the country as well. But yeah, it is crazy when you look at the cultures across the world and how they work together and work sometimes against each other and stuff and whatnot. And yeah, look, hopefully 2023 or 2022 this year, we can bring it together a bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's a far stretch. I feel like nobody ever is trying to come across as mean, Nobody's really trying to hurt anybody at the end of the day. Like maybe a few people, there's some psychopaths out there, but
yeah,
we have to be less reactive.
Yep.
I think the people that are victims, which in no way am I victim blaming or anything like that, but there's a lot of trauma, a lot of things that have gone wrong because nobody spoke up, and I think we're in that reactive stage of the world where it's like we've seen it so many times and never spoke up about it that now we're overshooting it to the point where it's like nobody can ever do this again. And so I think it'll balance out, over the next couple of years, I hope.
Exactly, man. Exactly, dude. We've gone 50 odd minutes, bro. That is insane. That is actually, I didn't even realize. I looked at the time just and I'm like, holy shit, man. Dude, is there anything else you want to discuss before we kind of wrap this up? There was, I know that I wanted to jump into the tournaments and stuff and all that type of shit.
Yeah, just real quick. We can talk about
it, man. Let's go,
the Apex situation.
Let's go for it, man.
So how we met.
Yeah, how'd we meet, man? How'd we meet? I forgot to brush over that as well, dude.
Yeah, so good buddy Dalton. I was a friend of Daltouche at the time, and he put me on you. I think he had rated you a couple times back when you were streaming.
Yeah, I think Charlie Dunn did it, or Charlie?
Charlie Good Times, yeah.
Charlie
and
Good
so
Times.
I had seen you like a couple times. Nothing but positive things still to this day, by the way. Nothing but positive things.
Appreciate it.
I started the League of Sweats, which was a PlayStation 4 league that was basically conceived to give esports legitimacy to Apex players way before cross-platform ever showed up. It was like a year and a half before. because I saw that we had some like pretty extreme talent, and a lot of the controller players that ended up switching to PC just did really well. So it's like, what if we just formed a league to, sharpen up a little bit and get people involved? And as soon as I made it, it kind of blown up. I got Daltush's vouch, which he was kind of running the show at the time. And so we got a lot of people that you guys know. The entirety of G2's roster was in that league.
Yep.
Cloud9, Stay Naughty's in that league. Noct actually came from a similar group that was in Xbox. Almost all of CLG, a lot of people. I'm not gonna say your name drop. But as soon as that happened, some folks from Australia hit me up, and they're like, "We also have a league that we've been trying to get legitimacy for on PlayStation. We've been running scrims, and we want to kind of merge the two and see where we can take it." And I thought that was a really good idea. Took it on and started to mesh the two. And thinking back on it, I thought I did a really bad job of it. But now that I'm thinking about it, it was actually really, for just one guy running the whole show, I gotta pat myself on the back, because a lot of the structure was completely made up. There was no way to get private lobbies. We literally had to like Q snipe each other. We had to like get in Discords and form bots and everything. And there was like random esports teams on PlayStation that it was like out of control, and I had to deal with like a lot of big-headed people.
Yep.
And it brought about some really, really like good moments, and that's how Jack and I got to meet. I think I asked you to be in like an ambassador, somebody, because you knew both sides really, really well.
Yeah.
And just getting into it would help the reputability. And that thing took off. It did. It actually did really well.
It did well, man. And it was just now finding out it was just you. That's even more props, man. So you should definitely be proud of yourself.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I had 3 people that I picked up.
Yeah.
And they moderated things, but I ran like the points. I recruited everybody, like handpicked them. I was like staying up all night. It was nuts. It was fun though. I really did believe in it, and it had EA kind of fucked me, I'm not gonna lie, because I asked him every day, no bullshit, every day for like 4 months, like, can we please get like whitelisted servers? Can we please get cross-plat? Like, I'll run this whole thing by myself. I don't care. And they told me no. Then that December they announced the $3 million ALGS, and then like 6 months later they announced cross-plat, and then right after that they announced private lobbies for PlayStation. I was like, you could have just gave it to me. You could have told me it was coming, so I had some hope.
They're greedy. They could have even employed you. They could have even employed you, man.
I said that too. I was like, I'll be an intern as like a competitive, like on the competitive team, and just listen and watch, like, just so I can get to know you guys. Like, anything you want. And they still said no every single time. That's
a kick in the nuts, bro. I'm surprised the game is done as well as it is right now. A lot of people have gone from Warzone, now kind of back to Fortnite a little bit, less on Warzone now, and whatnot. I've jumped off that personally as well. I'm just kind of over it. But yeah, I kind of want to get back into Apex again and whatnot. But yeah, seeing that come up as well, and Touche has come up. I got to get Touche on the podcast.
Yeah, crazy amount. He's blowing up.
He's blowing. I did message him. No reply. He's a busy guy, so I'm not really hurt by that at all. It's purely he's just fucking busy. Simple as that.
He just sucks.
Yeah.
He just sucks. But I can tell you.
I got to message. I got to do what you did with Ludwig. I just got to keep messaging that asshole until he unfollows me, and then I'll be butthurt. Okay. But
that's what I tell him, is like, you just got to tell me to stop. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta know.
Man. Exactly. But it's the whole scene. Like, when it first popped off, like, there was so much money being paid to people to come play the game. You see Shroud, Doc, Dr. Lupo, Ninja, all these tournaments and stuff. And whenever these games launch and they have these tournaments with these big streamers, it's so fun and energetic to watch. It's like the most favorite thing that I ever have. Takes me back to like Fortnite Fridays and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad the game's, it seems to be going extremely well. It seems to be thriving amongst all these other AAA games.
I think the Nick Merckx invasion did a lot for the game, because he just naturally has so much energy to every game that he goes into. the fact that he loved Apex as much as he did and gave him that extra energy boost to put so many people onto the game because, well, I'd actually give a lot of credit to Nicewig first for getting Courage on. He got 100 Thieves into it. Then Nick Merckx came, and then he got Cloak, Tfue, like, the rowdier group of Fortnite guys and Warzone guys into it, and it just kind of spreads like wildfire from there. It is really cool to see how much love the game gets. One thing that I want to see more is like just general content creators. I think it's one of the sweatiest games. Like in Warzone,
nuts.
you can actually go up against some casuals here and there. Like, if you just because the general populace knows Call of Duty, like you're gonna run into a couple of people that just got off their 9 to 5 and they just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Apex is like, you play good one time and like you will never see another player that's like, just there to have fun. It's like this 17-year-old kid, number 3 pred rank with like 85,000 RP day 2.
Yep.
It's like a sweat show. If I could get more just general people on it that like to have fun and fuck around on it, like how Zeus used to do it, how Zilbrad kind of used to do it, Rain Day, Candy, like the general, like, Janks, even though he's a little sweat himself.
Yeah, Zeus's content,
really
he can't do that shit anymore, really. He can't be teabagging TTVs as much. He was a talented player. He was definitely ahead of his time, that's for sure. And I played some definite months with him on Warzone whilst the game was stale, but he's back on Apex now, and it was, it's so sweaty, man. Like, I jump on as well, and I can still clap some people, but it's like for me personally, it's like, when do I retreat, chuck on a shield? When do I put on a shield? When do I shoot and reload? It's just like all these things that you got to take into balance, plus abilities as well. It's nuts, man. It really is insane, and I respect anyone that plays it to the high level that they do, because it's incredible. I actually got a guy from last week called Bullet L, who's representing Australia.
Yeah, I know Bullet.
Yeah, I had him on the podcast last week, and he's going over there, I think this week or something. So it's pretty cool to have that Aussie representation overseas and whatnot. He was a cool guy.
Jim Burton. I'm just saying, same thing. Nobody knew. I'm not gonna claim credit for him because he's been that nasty, but he was another Australian player from the league. He was on PlayStation 4, and everybody big talked him then too. They're like, his Hemlock, man, he's crazy with it.
Yeah.
Look at him now. I think people would say him and Gent are like the 2 best 1v1 players, and they both came from PlayStation, which is
what's his name? From Australia, the guy?
Jen Burton.
J-I-N?
No, Gen from Rig. He's incredible. He's like probably the best 1v1 like duelist. Him and Gent from G2.
Never heard of him.
Oh, what? That's crazy.
No. And he's from Australia. I need to know the grassroots, bro.
You guys are in the same Discord and everything. That's fucking hilarious.
I never knew him, bro. I'll have to get him on the podcast too.
No, he's crazy. Like, he's actually one of the very best.
Hey, Jen, if you're listening, I know that you are, because it's the #1 podcast in esports in Australia. But if you listen, jump on, okay?
I think they like run APAC, like they run Apex. Like, he's the #1 across the board. I think they're like the 4th ranked team total in Apex. Like, when they go to Sweden, like how they've done I think they're like 4th. It's like TSM, NRG, Alliance, the EU team, and then Rig.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, bro. Dude, and we're gonna wrap it up, man. It's been over an hour. This is my first like 60-minute podcast ever. Normally I do them to about 35, 45, but we just shot the ship. We could go on for like another 2 hours, I reckon, about all this shit, man.
Oh, for sure. There's a long history to it.
What we can do, dude, is we can always bring you back on the podcast, which I'll be doing with everyone anyway that I have on the podcasts at some stage. But for those follow-ups and see where you're going and how you're doing and what's been happening, what's planned and all that type of stuff. But dude,
yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate that. It's midnight over there. It's approaching 1 o'clock, or it is 1 o'clock for you right now, 1:20. But is there any closing words that you want to say before we head off, as well as your socials, which we'll link in the description below, and whatnot, dude?
Yes. My favorite quote of all time I'll tell it to everybody till I'm blue in the face. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So if you want to be the best at something, if you want to be good at something, it's not good enough to do it one time. It's not a single act that's important. You got to be good every time. You got to be excellent every time. You have to be consistent every time. Everything that you do that you want to be consistent at, you can't do it one time.
That is extremely inspirational. What a way to wrap off the podcast, man. And last question, do you keep your butter in the fridge or pantry before we go?
You keep your butter in the fridge. You know when you use it the day of, and then you take it out to soften it.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Tev, for coming on the podcast, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Remember to be safe, stay small, and as always, boom, baby. Peace.
Okay.